morning, everybody. I'm not going to ask if you're ready because I know the answer to that question. But what I want to do first is throw the balloon in the air. If it touches the ground, you get an F. So keep it in the air. The second thing I want to do is give you your first quiz. So please put your pens and pencils away. I want to only hear talking for the next 5 minutes. Turn to a person next to you, right? And ask them about the following things. Go. 5 minutes. here come the first of 1,000 questions. Why do this?
Why do what?
5 minutes having you talk. I haven't even told you my name yet.
So you can form groups, because physics is hard.
Groups? Well, that would imply that we would actually want to talk to each other. This is physics after all, right? Isn't it? Okay, isn't this is how it's supposed to roll, right? You come into class, you sit in a desk, and I come into the room, and I have a 1 hour and 15-minute conversation with the whiteboard. Right? Just talking to it. And you happen to be eavesdropping on that conversation, right? And maybe somewhere 1/3, halfway through the class, somebody actually has the courage to raise their hand and ask a question. And I turn around in shock that there's actually people in the room. You've had classes like this, haven't you? Right? So why do what you just did for 5 minutes? Break the ice? Again, we're going social here. Must be this new social media thing I keep hearing about, right? It's just, why do I want you comfortable with talking to each other?
So we can ask questions.
Ask questions, yeah? Because asking questions is important. Huh?
So we can work with each other.
Back to that social thing. Why do I want you working with each other? How do you know when you know something?
When you teach someone else it.
When you can teach it to somebody else. We tend to use words like explain because that's not as scary as teach, right? But if you can explain it to somebody else, if you can teach it to somebody else, then you're on the road to mastery. And I'm going to be giving you a lot of chances right here in lecture. Lecture, again, we're supposed to just be a monologue, right? Right here in lecture to talk to each other. So that when I say, okay, turn to your neighbor and give them an example of applying Newton's first law, I don't want you to turn and look for a partner on the ceiling. On the floor. 2 favorite places for looking for a partner, right? You've already done it. You've met somebody, right? How many times have you been gone into a class? For the first 50 minutes of the first day of class, the instructor tells you how interactive the course is, and never once interacts with you. Or has you interact with each other. What was the first thing you did in my class?
Talk to each other.
You talked to each other. So maybe, do you believe me a little bit? Yeah, I'll say anything to get an A, Mr. Balo. Hi, I'm Mr. Balo, and I have several questions for you. Yeah?
Do you mind turning off the microphone on and off? I had to switch rooms to get an introvert, so do you mind just clicking the side button and just...
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it should be on the inside.
I am wired for sound this semester.
It's not connected, but you can just continue the lecture.
Okay.
Thank you.
Interrupt me when you've got it. Okay, so, where are you from? I want to know these things about you. Where are you from? Shout them out.
Fresno.
Briefly, now we're getting far. Selma? It's not a contest, I just want to know. But we always seem to work in Fresno outward. Anywhere else?
Israel.
Israel, fantastic.
India.
India?
Mexico.
Mexico? Awesome. I love City College. It's so cool. What's your favorite thing to do? Eat. Okay, eat and sleep. Done. All right. Okay, fine. Travel.
Read.
Not a student selling? What?
Read.
Read.
Labyrinth. All right.
Reading still happens?
Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube. Oh, one-handed. Oh, this is my heart. Oh, that's great. What else? What else do you like to do?
Video games?
Video games!
Yeah.
No Man's Sky patch dropped and I'm back in, man.
Hey, no man's sky. You must have been waiting years for that.
Oh, yeah. I was there at day 1. And the dumpster fire began. PC Master Race, by the way.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I do own a Switch, and I do like my Switch. Yes, I have played every Zelda game ever. What else? Weightlifting. Oh, I've got some news for you this week. We're going to use you a lot. All right. Were any good movies this summer?
The Meg.
The what?
The Meg.
No,
It's a terrible shark movie.
Terrible shark movie? Oh, like Sharknado kind of
Yeah.
thing? Oh, okay, good. Where you've gone so far into the bad category that it's good?
Yeah.
Another good movie? I go to movies like twice a year. Right? And recently that has been either Star Wars or Marvel, right? It's just, those are going to be my two movies in a year.
Did you hate The Last Jedi?
Did I hate it? No, I loved it.
How the director didn't respect the franchise at all. Like, did
And I liked that.
What?
George Lucas disrespected the franchise when he did the prequels, right? So it's like, okay. But the thing about The Last Jedi is everything was forgiven because of The Force Awakens, right? I walked out of The Force Awakens going, they can do whatever they want with Star Wars now. I am happy, right? So when The Last Jedi rolled around, I had no expectations. I didn't care what direction they took the story. I was like, fine, yeah, it's great. No, I didn't. Yeah, my friends and I have had lots of nerd rage. But I'm on the camp of it's great, it's fine, whatever. Let them do it. Solo, on the other hand, was a bit of a disappointment. All right, what's your favorite place to eat in Fresno?
Doghouse.
Doghouse? Okay, yeah, been there, it's good.
Sequoia Brewing.
What?
Sequoia Brewing.
Sequoia Brew? Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory. It's okay, you can do your favorite. Oh, you can't say your mom's house because I'm not allowed to go there. Huh?
Lynn's Fusion.
Lynn's Fusion?
Hey, that
Yeah, it's
sounds
not
good.
It's an all you can eat.
Oh, I already like all you can eat. Like Lynn as in somebody's name?
Yeah, L-I-N.
Oh, it's trying. Where is it?
It's
Blackstone and
I
Shaw.
don't- it's
Blackstone and
Blackstone
Shaw?
and Shaw.
Okay.
You can ask what.
Where else?
Sushi Express.
Sushi Express?
Sashimi Express.
Sashimi. There's different.
Colorado Grill.
Yeah, Colorado Grill. Unfortunately, I turned more than 40 and I can't go to Colorado Grill anymore. My stomach doesn't do that.
Westwood?
Westwoods?
I love that place. Barbecue ribs.
Yeah, the problem is I've had Kentucky. I think Westwoods is not it.
Retro Junction.
I don't know this place.
No, it is.
No, but what is
I'll
it?
talk to you about it.
Oh, okay. Why am I writing these down?
Because you want to go.
Yeah, these are date ideas for my wife. I kid you not. The first semester, I was like, favorite places. Yeah, I'm just gonna write down because we were new to Fresno, right? And I went home and I started sharing. Every semester, every first day, I go home. Not, I love you. How was your day? What did your students say about the food? Right, so good, thank you. Why are you here?
Learn physics.
Ah, no, nobody's gonna do that.
Physics.
That's a lie. I'm not calling you a liar. Say that really loud. Who said
Because
that?
I have to for my major.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because somebody's making me. Right? Now, don't admit it because we don't want to, make you socially uncomfortable or anything, but there's a lot. I'm guessing you didn't wake up this morning and go, yes, physics, finally, oh, my life is going to be complete. Right? You're here because, okay, so what are your majors? Engineering majors, raise your hands. Yeah, okay, majority right there. Bio, pre-med, that sort of stuff. Okay, computer science, right? And who am I missing? English?
Astrophysics.
What's that?
Astrophysics.
Astrophysics, right? So we got the physics majors out there. Anybody else got a different one that they want to share?
Mathematics.
Okay, well, okay. We'll talk later. Chem, oh, that's right, I did forget chemistry. How many chemistry? Where are all the chemists? Holy cow, usually a lot of chemists in there, right? And so, somewhere in that slew of interests and desires to change the world, somebody said, well, one of the ways you're going to do it is with physics. You're like, what? Are there any more English majors available? Right? It's just, you gotta be here. I totally understand it. I'm not going to make it any easier on you because I can't. It's physics. Everything you've heard is true. Don't know what else to, I have no idea what you've heard, but it's true. So I get it. I don't wake up in the morning thinking that, you want to be here. But I am going to try my darndest to make this useful to you. Right? Because I actually believe that you're not here to learn physics. Okay? You physics majors, you're going to go off and learn physics. But for the rest of you, you're here to learn how to problem solve. You're here to learn how to figure out how the universe works and make it do your bidding. So, we're going to spend a lot of time on that. We're going to do it with physics instead. We'll make you help you pass the MCAT and all that kind of stuff, right? But, yeah. Future professional plans. Shout them out. What do you want to be? Telescopes in Chile? Oh, you want to go up high and be in the dry desert? Work nights? Yeah. What else? What do you want to do with your future? Doctor? Nuclear medicine? This guy's going to glow. I worked with uranium, it's fun. Chemical engineering? What do you want to do with that?
Nuclear.
Uh-huh.
I want to get into nuclear energy.
Yeah? I was told once by a psychologist, I was supposed to not say or ask the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Instead, the question should be, what change do you want to make in the world? Like, that's too deep for me. I'm still working on growing up. But it's a good question, right? It's a good question, right? And I know many of you are sitting out there, well, I just want to make money. America, right? So, yeah, it's good too, right? But in the sciences, we tend to sort of get into the job because we're trying to make the world a better place, some way, shape, or form. So think about that. Is there anything in your classes that you've seen before that you just really liked? The teacher did that maybe was out of the ordinary or was very ordinary that you appreciated?
Jump to those
Nope, not going to do it. What else?
They post their lectures on.
Oh, that is so hard to do. Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but every lecture I do is posted to YouTube within about 5 minutes. Talk about why. Oh, I guess I should tell you that, yep, this has been recording for 20 minutes, so everything you just said is now part of the CIA database. Generally, and you'll hear it as you start hearing the recordings, the iPad really can't hear you. Okay? It's kind of like Charlie Brown teacher voice, unless you're really shouting. It can hear me fairly well, but just so you know. I don't want to scare you off. You'll tend to forget about it after a while. I will not use anything you say, Okay. Turnabout is fair play. So what do you want to know? I'm going to give you 4 minutes to ask any question you want.
Where's your favorite place to eat?
In Fresno?
Yes.
What kind of food? Golly, it changes depending on what kind of food we're eating. I'd say probably in a month, because we take turns in my family, I get to pick my wife gets to pick my kids. Right? Okay. We will end up at Brahma Bowl Indian Restaurant more often than not. Somewhere there on Shaw and West. So yeah, I can highly recommend that one.
Did you always know you wanted to do this?
Do what?
Professor of physics or?
Make fun of myself in front of a group of people? The second part of that question, yes. I always knew I wanted to make fun of myself in front of a group of people. The first part of your question, physics, no. As a matter of fact, I went to college thinking I wanted to be a sociologist.
Wow.
I was 1 week into sociology classes and I went, this stuff is dumb. Like, what are you doing? This makes no sense. So I kind of wandered over where there was more screaming. I happened to be the physics department. And yeah, found my second love in the physics department, which was physics. I kept asking all these annoying questions of my sociology professors and my engineering professors. And I kind of bounced around a little bit, but I kept asking why. Right? They tell me something happened. I go, well, why does it do that? Well, it just does. I was like, it doesn't just happen. There's got to be a reason, right? And so finally one of my, I think it was one of my chemistry teachers said, you know what? You really need to go talk to the physicists. Because they're the ones that are always answering that question, why, right? Everything else is more or less how. How do we make it work? How do we make it happen, right? But the physicists really get down into the weeds and poke the universe with a stick and see what happens. So, yeah. Does anybody know what my first love was? Food. Does it show?
No.
My wife. Oh, okay, that's sweet. That is true. I was thinking professionally.
What's your one favorite place to visit?
Did somebody say English? Well, maybe I'll guess it further on the semester. Other questions?
What's your favorite place to visit or travel to?
Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Done. Didn't even require thought.
Tell me how it changed.
Have you ever been to Big Sur?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Many
Yosemite
times.
Champagne?
Yeah. No contest. Big Sur.
Do you think there's other life out there?
Yeah. It's in here too. Universe is too big a place. I think the more interesting question is why haven't we found it yet?
Just too far.
For a long time about that one.
Where are you from?
Santa Cruz, California. Santa Cruz weird. That's why I don't like Big Sur. And the follow-up question to what she just asked is, why are you now in Fresno?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. It's because I got a job offer from Lake Tahoe Community College and Fresno City College within 2 days of each other. And Fresno City College was paying $5,000 a year or more, and the houses here at that time were $150,000. In Lake Tahoe, they were $850,000. I did some math. Also, Fresno was really close to Yosemite.
Yeah.
Where did you get your higher degree?
You're very good. He qualified the question by higher degree, because people usually ask me, where did you go to school? And I start with my kindergarten teacher. I got my master's degree in physics from Brigham Young University, Provo. And it was my thesis was actually, I did 2 theses because they wouldn't let me do the one I wanted to do. I did a thesis in extreme ultraviolet optics and telescope mirror coating, which I know you probably just didn't understand half that sentence, which is okay, nobody does. But my other thesis, the one that I'm most proud of, the one that I return to over and over and over again, is I studied how physics students learn physics. And I went really into the weeds about that. And it was very beginning of what is now known as physics education research. And that's really what I do now. Yeah, I don't do the extreme ultraviolet optics anymore. My master's thesis is orbiting the planet on a satellite, but I'm into the education stuff.
Is it published?
Yeah, we ended up in Science Magazine. You will not find my name anywhere. Don't go looking for it because I was a graduate student and we are slaves and indentured servants. So, but yeah, no. If you want to look for the image mission, IMAG, it's now not happening anymore. But we were one of the first space weather satellites. Yes, space weather is a thing. Long before there was a Space Force. All right, now, I assume this is how some of my students see me. Okay? I prefer, of course, to think of myself like this, which explains the bow tie quite a bit, doesn't it? If you don't know what this is, shame on you. I need your nerd cards back now. Right? But, yeah. Okay. Although I have a feeling that most of my students probably see me as Yoda in some shape. Okay, I've got to take roll. I'm going to pause the recording here. I don't know what to do about this next part because, frankly, it is boring. And yet, it's important because you want to know about how the class is going to run. I've tried to figure out interactive ways for you to turn to your neighbor and tell them your favorite part of the syllabus. It doesn't. Okay. So the syllabus is on Canvas. You get to read it. I don't print it out on paper anymore because if you're going to ignore it on paper, you can ignore it online too, right? It's the way it works. But let me hit some really big highlights. What I like to do is I actually like to get started right away in this class, the chapter 1, chapter 2 stuff. And then on Thursday, when we have our first lab together, we will be there for the full 2 hour and 50 minutes. We're always there for the full 2 hours and 50 minutes. What I'll do is I'll get into more depth. I'll answer your questions. We'll talk about the details of exams and homework and all that sort of stuff, right? So I just kind of want to hit the highlights. Please throw hands in the air. I'll ignore them. No, I won't. I'll answer your questions, right? But let's just hit some things really fast. There is some textbook confusion this semester. How many of you saw that I posted an announcement that had a code that saves you money? Yeah, okay. Then 3 of you that checked Canvas before you came to class. Good job. Right? On Canvas, there is an announcement that has a discount code if you purchase the text directly from the publisher. How many of you noticed that the textbook says optional in the bookstore? And what does optional mean? Oh, I have to buy it. We don't want you buying it from the bookstore. It costs too much. Okay? Right? So if you buy it from the bookstore, try to return it. If not, whatever. Okay? But there is a code on there. You must have access to the online materials for this course. And they are provided by Wiley, the publisher, and it costs money. I believe the good news, though, is that it costs, I think, $150 for all 3 semesters, Physics 4 ABC. That gets you the text, it gets you the online homework, it gives you the student solutions manual, it gives you all kinds of stuff. Okay? That we'll go over on Thursday. So you must have access to Wiley Plus through Canvas, right? Don't go to wileyplus.com because it'll just mess up, right? If you go in through, log into Canvas, hit any of the links to take you to the homework or the book, it'll start demanding money. You get a 14-day grace period, so you can do the freebie, right, for 2 weeks, right? Sort out anything you need to. But again, we'll talk a lot more on Thursday about your options and which ones are best for you and blah, 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 and what the minimum is and that sort of thing. But it is this textbook with the special discount code that you can enter when you purchase. And that code is on Canvas. Speaking of, hopefully I don't have to talk about this anymore, right? This isn't a new thing here at City College. How many of you had Canvas classes before, or at least a class that used it? Yeah, everybody. Okay, so again, we'll talk more about it on First Lab, but you can go to that URL, but really just go to any website in the district, go to City College, whatever, and they'll link you directly to it to sign in with your common login and all that kind of stuff. I think this is kind of old news. I'm guessing that by the time you get to Physics 4A, you've probably logged into something on this campus, right? So if you're having trouble, go ask the technical support people. You can email me, and I can try and sort it out for you, that sort of stuff. So just get online, get on Canvas, start reading, read the syllabus, Start reading the book content that's on there. Again, on Thursday, I'll go much more detailed than you ever possibly wanted about what's there. But you're smart, you're good. You come built in with Wi-Fi in your generation, so you should be able to get on there and start interacting right away. Has anybody ever heard of GRASP? Yeah, okay. These are the survivors, okay? GRASP. So what our schedule is Monday, Wednesday, and then Thursday for labs, right? What the schedule didn't tell you is that we meet on Fridays also. This is what I call the optional required portion of physics for me, right? GRASP meets in this room from 7 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What is it? First and foremost, it's my office hour, okay, from 7 to 10 in here, okay, not in my office. And we have tutors here from the tutorial center. Our physics tutors come over. You don't have to fight the other math students, right, for the physics tutors, because when a physics tutor has nothing to do, they turn into a math tutor. It's like a quantum shift thing. And so to save them from that mathematics hell, we bring them over here, and they get to focus on physics for the day. We can get you to check out a computer, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? From the past, I mean, we've had 45 students in here, right? All jamming on physics. We have ChemGrasp, we have BioGrasp. This works. There's no other way to describe what GRASP is. It just simply works. So the invitation is there. It's not mandatory, but I would carve out Fridays from 8 to 9:30 at the very least, right? Just treat this class as if it were Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Come in here, get help on your homework, help on anything. I will not help you with engineering. Just saying, right? And some people come, you need to help me with my statics homework, and I screw up their mind. Like, not on purpose. But I go at it as a physicist, and the engineer's brain is dumb. So, but we do have engineering. Engineering GRASP is going to be in the same room at the same time. We have engineering tutors. Chemistry GRASP, you have your own room, but if you want to hide from the chemist, so please carve out time for GRASP if you can. I understand Fridays, a lot of people want to work, all that sort of stuff. You need to do that. But I try to, I come at 7, so in case people need to start work at 8 or something, you get in quick. The parking's also a lot better. You might want to just take a picture of this one. I'll maybe post this one. I'll take a picture too. This one, this is my recommended schedule, okay, for what's going on in this class.
There you go. That's what it's at. If you don't mind putting in that.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about the online stuff a little bit later, but when I'm recording stuff, I record, not only does it go up to YouTube, right, and everything you see here is synchronized in my voice, all that sort of stuff. You'll see how it works when it gets on YouTube. But I also capture PDFs of screens that I write on, because all the writing I'll do is going to be on this screen. I'll do some writing on the board, but most of it's going to be on that screen. And so you're going to walk out of this class with the note, everything that I wrote on the screen, okay? A recording of what happened in lecture. So the natural question at this point is what? What are you doing here? Right? If I get all the notes, right? So what are you doing here? I can make this really easy, right? Why are you here? It's the L word. Learn. How do you learn? By doing. You gotta do it, right? And so if you're just sitting here writing down everything I say or writing down everything I wrote on the screen or the board, that's called transcription. There's a whole career called stenography that's involved in copying down what people say. We're not doing that. We're trying to figure out how the universe works. We're trying to learn how to problem solve. So I want you here, in the moment, doing that, learning. If I can offload the copying things down part of it, right? By all means, that's what I'm going to do. I understand. You've been through the torture that is the modern educational system in America, and you've been taught that to learn something, you go to class, you write down everything the teacher says. Okay? We're going to try and break you of that habit in my class. I've had good reports that it actually works. But this is my suggested calendar. Physics is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You have to be engaging with physics, this class, and its content every day. Like, if you try to offload this to 1 day a week or a couple days a week, you are going to find out very quickly that you are falling further and further behind, and this train does not stop. So you have to carve out time in your week to be doing this. Did I build in a rest day? No. Okay. It's just, it never lets up. It just never lets up. And it's as hard as you have heard. Okay? We'll talk about why later. But it's just, I want to get this into your mind right now. This is your other full-time job. I know you have other classes, and I have tried really hard to streamline this as much as possible, but physics is just hard. So we're going to make it. We're going to get through, okay? But make the time. Just make the time now, so that later, when people are bugging you to go do really fun things, you can say, well, I have to spend time on this. I have a negative influence on people's social lives. Not just because it's me. Okay. Everyone wants to know this. Okay. I use the C word up here. What's the C word? That's because physics is comprehensive. You walk into history, you can actually do history in any order. Historians don't want you to know that, but you can, right? It makes sense, I'm sure, to do it in a preferred order, but you can actually do it. You can do English and literature in more or less any order. You can't do physics in any order, okay? Because what we do in Chapter 2, we're using for Chapters 3 through 17, right? And the stuff in Chapter 9 depends on all of the chapters that came before it. It's like climbing a ladder, and you can't skip rungs. That's why I said it's like a marathon, okay? You cannot just skip 1 mile of the 26 and say that you ran the race. It just can't happen. So you've got to hit every rung. That's why I don't drop an exam. Do drop 2 homeworks because life happens. That's 2 weeks worth of homework. But if you miss 2 weeks of homework, you've fallen off the ladder. Okay? So it's that among other things is really, really hard. I do give you some help on the exams. We'll talk a lot more about exams, especially as they get closer. We'll talk about them on Thursday if you want. But just know that there are 5-unit exams. They are comprehensive in the sense that physics constantly builds on itself. Just because Newton's laws is on one exam doesn't mean it's not going to crop up on future exams. It does. I do try to focus the exam on that unit's content. So I don't just artificially reach back and do some weird esoteric problem from a previous unit, right? But I can't really test you on momentum without also testing you on Newton's laws, and that came before, right? It's all tied together. Vectors, we're going to learn about vectors. You're going to use them all the time, right? So, just the way it is. One of the things that makes physics hard. I haven't seen any questions yet, and people are starting to fall asleep, so I better start cracking some kind of grade. Oh, I can't jack jokes about this. There's no jokes about grades, right? What's the hard thumping, blood pressure raising problem on this slide?
Exams.
The scale. The scale's the standard scale that hopefully you're used to by now, right? Okay. But yeah, that like 70% just draws you in like a black hole. Okay. So it's actually, to tell you the truth, not the most important percentage on the screen. Which one is? Homework. By far and away, the homework is the most important. Because the homework is what I'm giving you to prepare you for that exam. In the sense that I'm giving you all the hard ones on the homework. I give you 10 problems-ish per week. They're the hard ones. Okay? I don't expect you to start on those. I would recommend going in and picking your own problems that are easier to warm up. Okay? You don't go out and run the marathon just coming off of your couch from the Xbox, right? You warm up. Okay, so you got to warm up a little bit, but then you tackle those 10 problems, and I've picked those problems so that if you can do those problems, you should be fine for the exam. A, B, or C, perfectly doable if you understand the homework, okay? Now, if Chegg understands your homework, that's a totally different story, right? Okay, Google can understand your homework really well, but if you don't understand your homework, okay, what went down, why went it that way, if you didn't practice some more, and all that sort of stuff, I don't have much hope for you. So the homework, that 15%, most vital. Most vital. 70% happens as a consequence of that 15%. I just dropped 2 homework assignments, but I don't accept it late because as soon as the computer ticks over to midnight, it gives you the key, right? Shows everybody the key for the homework. So that's why I don't do that. And what does somebody want to summarize for me what my exam late policy really says? Don't miss an exam. Just like period. Okay. Although by law, I guess I'm not allowed to say that or something. So just don't miss it. I will show you. There's a calendar up on Canvas that you'll see. I'll explain more on Thursday. But the exam dates are already set. I'll tell you when they are. So if you're having a deployment, if your sports team is having a match that day, if you know that somebody's getting married in your family, something, right? Okay, let me know ahead of time. Because I have this really cool magic wand. I got the inside edge on the teacher in this class, right? I can bribe him. And I can waive the penalties, right? For letting me know ahead of time what's going down, okay? If you wander in after the fact, right? This applies. I don't care what the excuse is. So, that being said, I have not lost my humanity. You may not believe that in a couple of weeks, but I have not lost it. See, I don't have a PhD. You know what happens to people when they get their PhDs? Well, yeah, they sell their soul. That actually happens long before. They lose the ability to talk to normal people. Right? So I haven't done that. I like to think that I can still talk to normal people. And I also like to think that I remember what it was like to be a student. Believe me, I saw the nightmare. And so, talk to me. Communicate with me. What's the worst that's going to happen if you send me an excuse about something?
No.
I post on social media. I'm not going to do that. I will say no, but 99% of the time I'll say yes. Let's work this out. Let's figure this out. Do this. Right? I'm here for you. I'm not going to make you pass the class. I'm going to try my darndest to help you. Right? And there's lots of you, and you all have different ways of learning this stuff, and we've got to figure that out. Right? But I'm a resource. Right? It's a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to be like, you can do this, you can do that. And then we're going to get the test, I'm going to be like, ah! Right? Okay? So it switches back and forth. But I really am on your side. I am. Okay? This is my paradigm. It's you and me versus physics. Right? And then every once in a while, I got to get on the other side and say physics. The thing I usually don't change, those, the makeups usually are harder. Nobody uses voicemail anymore, right? I don't. They go there. I think it's full now. Let's talk about technology in class. I am using an iPad. I'm using my laptop. Sometimes I use my phone right here in front of you, right? I mean, I've got to get on the Snaptagram as quickly as I can. And was that not a cool thing? Did that show my age? You've all gone to sleep by now. I want you using technology in here. Okay? I mean, most of you are going to get your book as an ebook anyway, right? Okay? You'll be looking up information. Google is the way that we know anything nowadays, right? What am I eating for dinner? Let's search Google. Right? Let's use it. Let's leverage it. There's really, really good, there's lots of bad stuff on the internet, but there's really, really good stuff too. And we can use that. Got to use it right, got to use it appropriately, but we can use that. And so I totally encourage you, right, So bring your laptop, bring your tablet, take notes on it, whatever it is you want to do it. However, if you are distracting yourself or somebody else from what's going on in this room, I will politely ask you to leave once. The second time, I'll just call the police. But the first time, I'll just say, you know what? You're not on task in here. There is an entire universe on the other side of those doors, right? Okay? You can go out and Facebook or watch YouTube, whatever it is you want to do. That's not this class, right? People are coming here and they don't want to be distracted by what they see on your social media posts and that sort of thing. So, I deputize all of you to police each other, right? If somebody's doing something on their device out there that's distracting you from what's going on in this class, politely just say, hey, you know what you're doing is distracting me. You know, you can't, if they're doing physics, you can't tell them to stop, okay? But if they're obviously not on task, hey, man, you're not on task. If they do something impolite to you, say something impolite to you, let me know, and I will deal with it, right? But please each other. Like I said, tons of time and space on the other side of those doors. In here, we're concentrating on this stuff. And if the technology enables you to do that more efficiently, faster, better, whatever, let's do it. Okay? If it doesn't, you want to stick to paper and pencil, I'm with you. Okay? It's all technology in some way, shape, or form. So I don't want you to feel bad. People are pretty good now about silencing their devices, so make sure your devices are silenced. But we just don't want to distract from what is going on. Did I miss something that you have to know right now? It's like life and death that I didn't cover.
Where's the lab room?
Where?
The lab room.
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah.
It's on Pluto. So the first test is to see whether or not you can build the rocket to get there. It's over there. You go around this building either direction, and you get to S260, 260. That's our lab room. Physics lab room. We're getting a new building. You won't be here.
I know.
But in a couple of years, we'll have a new science building full of state-of-the-art modern labs. We might even get a VR lab. Skyrim VR for 6 months. All right. So let's see here. Oh, yeah. Today, those of you who are in a panic about the class, you can come and see me. But what I'm doing before class is I am mentally preparing for what I'm about to do. And people coming up asking me questions, I usually just go like, sit down, talk to the hands, right? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm defending myself because I'm about to perform. The other thing that happens is right after this class, I have a 15-minute break to do too many things, okay, before Physics 4B starts. I have to mentally transition from Physics 4A to Physics 4B. I've got to have a bio break. I've got to solve all the world's problems, and I've got to set up the equipment for the next lecture, right? And so if you come up to me then, I'll be like, go away, right? Again, I like you, not trying to be rude, but I probably will be anyway. And it's just, again, my self-defense for making sure that I am ready to go in proper form for the next class. So do try to not bother me on like before and after lectures. Email is the fastest way to get a hold of me. We'll talk about on Thursday communicating via Canvas, but email definitely is the fastest way. If you hit me at the right time of day, the responses are almost like chatting. It's creepy. But yeah, that is really the best and fastest way to do it. We have very few life-threatening decisions that have to happen in physics right away, right? And so I always take the timestamp from when you sent me the email. If I don't reply until after the exam has begun or something like that, I always take the fact that you tried to contact me before that. Right? How you doing? You bored? Yeah, this is boring. What is it?
Why?
What have you heard? It's everything? No, it is definitely not Donald Trump. What have you heard? What is it? What do we do?
Write a bunch of squares.
Sometimes every once in a while. Yeah. I bored you into insensibility. Can we Google this? If you want. What do physicists do?
Just answer a question.
What?
Study the world.
Study the world? I think political scientists do.
Answer questions that chemistry professors can't.
Oh, no, might be a chemist, right? Yeah. Until we actually have to do something practical, then we go find the chemist. It's usually like weird wormholes and dark matter and things that don't matter to your life, right?
I think you guys show up in like Dan Brown books a lot.
Yeah, we do. The physicists are always the ones, right, that are enabling the bad guy to do whatever the bad guy wants to do. Yeah. How do you know when a physicist is interested in you? They look at your shoes instead of theirs. There's this stereotype, I guess, right? Okay. And people have lots of ideas about what physicists do or what physics is about. A lot of it's shaped, I think, by popular culture and the internet. And quite frankly, I grew up in a world where it was not cool to be a nerd or a geek. Like they actually picked on us because we were nerds and geeks, right? Okay. And now it's like cool to be a nerd. Although I will say this. One of the fastest ways to shut down a conversation, you're meeting somebody brand new, right, stranger. Oh, how you doing? Where are you from? Blah, blah. What do you do? I'm a teacher. Oh, teaching's such a noble profession. That is awesome. There's no way I could do that, right? What do you teach? I teach science. Oh, I loved science when I was in college. Science, oh, it was so good. What kind of science do you teach? Physics. Oh. And then some excuse about how they have to go talk to somebody else, right? It's like the quickest, it's either oh, and you can see sort of the post-traumatic stress syndrome beginning, or they go crazy on you. Oh, I've got this idea about breaking the second law of thermodynamics. You have to hear it. Right? So, between those two extremes is the truth, right? And, boy, The Far Side was such a good comic. I'll read the bottom here because I know it's small. No doubt about it, Ellington. We've mathematically expressed the purpose of the universe. What's it say? Zero. Right? Gad, how I love the thrill of scientific discovery. We are going to go do so much stinking math in here, you are just going to cry. Okay? And you're going to be like, what the heck is fun about this? It's not. It's math. It can't be. Okay, two of you think it's fun. The rest of you, right? Okay, are like, what the heck is going on? Physics is an attempt to understand the fundamental laws that make our universe work. Physics has its finger in every pie. Biology, chemistry, engineering, sociology, not English, or philosophy, right? But every science, right? We like to think of ourselves as the fundamental science, right? It makes us kind of snobby and all that sort of stuff. So what are we going to do for this semester? Well, in case you want to drop now, let me tell you. We're not going to do wormholes. We're not going to do dark energy. As a matter of fact, we're not going to do anything that sounds cool. Okay? Because that's physics 4C.
That's not fun.
Okay? Physics 4A is mechanics. We're trying to figure out how objects that are about our size or just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller than us work. Cars, trucks, trains, planets. I know those are a little bit bigger than us. But it's the world of the normal, I would say. Okay? Physics 4B is about electricity and magnetism. A little bit of thermodynamics in there, but we ignore that part. I do anyways. And then physics 4C is the optics, relativity, Einstein, warp drives, that sort of stuff. So we're going to attempt this, okay, in some way. shape or form. It's not quite unit per unit. For example, gravitation and fluids are lumped together, but like there's a whole unit on studying how things move. That's where we start with the how, because it's a little bit easier to wrap your brains around, learn the problem-solving method in that context. And then we start getting into the why. Now, you have access right now. If you are enrolled in the course, you have access to Canvas. You can get on there and you can start reading the chapters. So let me tell you what you're going to do by Wednesday, and then I'm going to start just a little bit of lecture. I've got a couple questions I want you to think about and bring back. Get on there, read chapter 1. If you've had any high school science class of any kind, chapter 1 is going to be a review. Talking about units, scientific notation, right? Okay. I really don't feel like physics starts until chapter 2. Okay? So my goal on Wednesday is to be finished with chapter 1 and to be moving on to chapter 2. Because there's a lot of parts that they don't explain in this book that I'm feeling. All physics books are like this, by the way. Okay? They don't explain the half of it. So I need you by Wednesday to have not only absorbed the chapter 1 content, whatever you think that means, but I need you to be starting on chapter 2 and starting to get a handle on what really is the physics that we're going to be going into. It's not that chapter 1 isn't important. It's vitally important because it's a foundation. Again, how you do scientific notation and some of these abbreviations, order of magnitude, that sort of thing we talk about. But let me start the juices flowing. I know it's been a summer. I know it's been a long time since you've had any kind of high school science or any of that kind of stuff. You've probably been through this, though, if you've had chemistry or biology here, right? Is it still safe to assume that you've put physics off as long as possible? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it happens. Okay. How many unit systems are there in the universe?
2.
The answer is there's all of them. Somebody's taken my meter stick. All right. Darn it. Okay? There are 2 main unit systems that we use on planet Earth. They are metric and stupid. Okay?
I agree.
The only 2, right? Now, if I were to ask you, who uses the stupid unit system? America. Right? Okay? Who else?
Oh, there's like one more. United Kingdom.
No. Not Australia. Not the United Kingdom. They've converted.
It's like
Everything in green uses the metric system.
they're smart.
What's wrong with the stupid unit system?
Where the metric system uses it in tens, the stupid system uses it with different measurements that make sense.
Yeah. How many centimeters are there in 2.73 meters? 273. How'd you do that? Decimal point around. You have a statement, comment? No? So, how many ounces are there in 3.6 pounds? What's an ounce? 16 per pound, right? So now I got to multiply 36 by 16. Where's my, it's not hard. It's just stupid. The metric system is based on tens. Where did they get the idea for 10 from? Right? Okay? And I've got 10 more down there if I run out. Okay? What was the definition of the foot? I'm the king. This is my foot. That's a foot. What was the original definition of the yard? The distance from the king or queen's nose to the outstretched ring finger of their left hand. Does anybody see a problem with basing a system of measurement on a person? Especially royalty. What happens in royal lines? Inbreeding, so you end up with people. Right? This is a problem! The metric system is based on tense. As a matter of fact, it's based on physical constants nowadays. Anybody know what the original definition of the meter was? No? It was 1/10 millionth the distance between the North Pole and the equator on a line that ran through Paris, France. It's important. The Paris part was really important. Today, it's 1 over the speed of light. The speed of light is a fundamental constant of our universe. It's not going to change on us, and so that means that the length of a meter is not going to change on us. Right? As a matter of fact, the unit systems, the units we use here in the United States and Myanmar and Liberia are actually already based on the metric system. What's a pound? It's so many newtons. What's an inch? It's a certain number of centimeters. Our unit system today in this country references the metric system. So, you want government secrets? The secret is we've been using the metric system the whole time. We just decided to use a whole set of different numbers. When you go to the doctor and the nurses are taking all your vitals, what are they writing your height down in? Centimeters. Okay? They're writing your weight down in kilograms. Like, it's already happened. Right? It's just, we're not aware. Okay? How do you get from one unit to another? Conversion factors. What I want you to do is I want you to focus on conversion factors. Okay, chapter 1. Refresh your brain, okay, as to how to do that. I'm going to show you a little trick when we get together on Wednesday. And then I'm going to move into something called order of magnitude. And I also want to start talking about trigonometry. I'm going to review a little bit of math. You're going to be really angry at me, actually, on Wednesday, if you aren't already. I'm going to take everything that you had to learn in trigonometry, and I'm going to distill it down into about 5 minutes. Okay? And at the end, you are going to be mad. Maybe not at me. You'll be mad at your math teachers. Right? Because it'll be so clear, so concise, so simple, and you're like, why did I waste a whole semester of my life on this? The answer is you wasted your life. Okay? I will see you Wednesday. You ready for chapter 1 and chapter 2 beginning?